Hey guys, so today we are going to be talking about something that I've been meaning to talk about for a little bit now, and that is the biggest problem within the game right now. And a lot of people might have, different opinions on what it might be, but for me, it feels pretty obvious. And we'll just cut straight to the chase. For me, the biggest problem within Dokkan right now is the handling and the treatment of extreme class units. So to get this video started, I only have one tab open, and we're going to kind of talk about it as we go, right? And you can see right here, we have the extreme class, every extreme class unit pulled up in the game on Dokkan info, right? So what we would want to do is kind of just scroll through this, but I'm just going to start right here at this little frame right here. So if we kind of, this is at 100%, like the normal zoom, that doesn't really matter, but the first four rows, right, when we look at the extreme class LRs, what can you guys tell me about this Turles right here? And this is in chronological order, so that is kind of like your hint, right? This guy came out towards the end of 2020, and we are now reaching the kind of first third of 2024. And since 2020, how many is that? So this is 18, what is that, 23 extreme class LRs. If we filter this to superclass, right? What can we see from here, right? This is 2022. This is 2022. And, the same thing could be said, in the same amount of time, since 2020, mid-2023 with Tanabata, we've gotten, what is that, 11, so half of the Extreme Class LR since we've gotten in almost the last 4 years. Since June of 2023, we've almost gotten half of that with Superclass, right? And obviously, there's more heroes than villains in the game, right? This isn't what I'm here to talk about. It's just, you can see, we have multiple pages of Superclass LRs, but if we go to Extreme Class, we can just quickly see, we can get past the LRs in the first page. And we're already done. So in total, right, there are how many? So this is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 49 extreme class LRs, right? And then obviously it's the number of superclass is probably double that, right? So maybe a little bit less, but that is kind of the framework for what I want to talk about today. And it's not just the amount of releases, right? It's when they do the releases, it's not enough, right? Does that make sense? So here's how I want to start, right? I think LR Broly is a really good starting point for what I want to talk about today. And when we open up LR Broly, we can pull him up right here. You can see whenever the website wants to load, we have this unit that leads a category that's not that great, right? But when you look at his leader skill, you're not running an extreme version of this team with super bosses, because super bosses has seen some buffs, but it's really not that good. What you're really looking at is the transformation boost and the full power. And spoiler alert, transformation boost is mostly superclass these days, right? So if we pull up transformation boost, we can take a look and see right here that who's the main units you want to run on this team, right? Superclass, Gogeta, superclass, you extreme class. You could argue these guys superclass, 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 and then Omega's okay, not runnable in all fights. This guy is extreme, so that is good, but superclass, 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 you get the idea, right? And even on his own team, this Topo you're running on super bosses, if we want to pull that up, he's superclass as well. So it's you look at this team, and you just see a whole bunch of superclass units that you'd be running anyway. And it's oh, okay, don't worry, we're going to give you this super bosses category, and then you look at it right here, it sucks, right? And even with the only way you're running Broly's leader skill is you're utilizing the full thing, and it's not, and guess, spoiler alert, most of it is extreme or super class for when you're running with the team, right? Let's look at super bosses, right? Who's the best unit on super bosses that isn't Broly? You could say Zamasu, you could say Topo, you could scroll down, you can look at Kefla's EZA over on Global. Kale is pretty good, but none of the, I wouldn't say better than Broly, obviously. But Jiren didn't get his EZA during the Topo celebration, allegedly. Right now it's looking like Gotenks. But you look at this team, and it's what do you want me to do with this, right? It's if you told me, let's just assume Kefla's EZA is on JP, right? You tell me you run a superclass or a super bosses team, a pure super bosses team, not transformation boost, not full power, just super bosses. We have Extreme AGL Broly. We're obviously going to be running him. We'd probably run Merge Zamasu. We would run Topo. We'd run the Broly trio. You'd run Kefla. And then who do you run alongside from that? Frieza, I guess. You could run Beerus, maybe. You have Topo. You run him. And it's a messy team, right? But the point that I'm trying to make here is that extreme class units come out and they're like, oh yeah, here you guys go. You know, you've been wanting this villain for so long, and we have a full power Broly in the game. And then he has this link set that's like, it's okay, but it's not an extreme class link set. Like, Berserker, sure, but, you know, Shocking Speed, no. Prodigies, no. Super Saiyan, no. Prepared for Battle, no. Fierce Battle, sure, but that's like a universal link. And then Legendary Power, again, a universal one. But like, let's look at his best linking partners, right? Like, it's so easy to talk about this because let's just hit the checklist. Usable, yes, but this is the same character. Usable right now, and this is to 9th anti content. No, 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 barely. No, 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 barely. Excuse me. Yes. No, 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 no. Yes, but that's the same one, like barely, right? You get the idea. So like the best linking partners for Broly, you can't run him with anything, right? Like, or with any of these essentially. And by the way, look at well, once we get past Broly, it's all super class. Like, you're not like, this is barely an extreme class unit. This is a super class unit with extreme slapped on it. And I'm not the one who coined that, but this is a super class unit that happens to be a villain. Like, it's not that hard to comprehend, right? And it's like, let's just go to the next one, right? The next premium LR, like we can just close these out, but the next like premium Dokkan Fest LR that we got for extreme class. This guy, Realm of Gods, super class category. Fused Fighters, super class category. Global Chaos, that's an extreme class category. But let's look at the Global Chaos team, shall we? Let's pull this up, right? Who are you running on this team? The answer is you're running this guy right here. You got Zamasu. You can run the androids sometimes, not every fight. You can run Super Buu is a big maybe. Bootanks is very good, but like we'd have to look. I'd have to see who on this team would link up well with him. But you have Cell, who's barely runnable and borderline unrunnable unless you get into his like super perfect Cell. This Jr., same idea, very good. You have, what is it right down here? You have this super, you know, this 50% support, but nobody really has him. AGL Zamasu is okay. This guy's okay, but nothing like too major. So, you know, we're talking about 9th anti content. If you want to run this guy, you're going to be running him alongside a lot of superclass units. So therefore, what we're talking about, because you're going to be wanting to utilize the Fusion Warriors as well as the Realm of Gods portion of his leader skill. So, you know, you're putting yourself in a bit of a situation just trying to run this guy, and that is one of the problems. This guy has an extreme class link set, right? This is kind of more of what we're looking for, where we have big bad bosses. That's you know, a extreme class link. We have Dismal Future, I believe, is more of a. Is this more of? I guess it is more super class, but it can be, yeah, it can be deemed like a little bit more of an extreme link, right? More favored to super, but that's most links in the game. Godly Power, more of a super class link. Fused Fighter, more of a super class link. And then Nightmare is more of an extreme. So this guy has like a couple more extreme class links, but again, not enough to the point where you look at these partners. This guy is a much better example of what we're kind of hoping to see when we get an extreme class unit, where his best link partners are villains. But for the 9th anti content, none of these guys are runnable, right? It's like AGL Zamasu is like the closest thing to it, but like, you know, you would be looking more for like the fused version, right? So like right up here, this would be a little bit closer to what you're looking for. So like Fused Zamasu is an example of an release that was handled all right, but nothing too great. But the infrequency of these releases combined with the synergy of these releases is like, it's not great. You look at, we could talk about Omega, but I'm sure most of you know, it's like Omega has, they give us an Omega Shenron, finally, LR Omega Shenron. He's been like a meme, not quite like Kid Buu, but still a meme nonetheless. We look at this guy right here, and guess what? He's got GT Boss restrictions, and I'm sure I don't need to talk about this very long, but the GT Bosses category, like, who's usable here? It's Omega. It's like, Baby is alright in fights that could be debuffed. You've got that Super 17, this version right here is Super 17. Like, if you can get to Super 17, sure, but you're not getting to Super 17, spoiler. This Hyper Metal Rildo is pretty good, but again, a 60% support, so not many players are going to have him, and a very infrequent release that you're not going to be seeing very often. So, right then and there, like, we've already kind of gotten to the point where the problem that I'm trying to say is that, like, we barely get extreme class units, and then when we get these extreme class units, they don't have help, right? Metal Cooler, a Cooler, I would say, is an example of a unit that, like, released and got decent help from the start, right? His team was okay. Terrifying Conquerors and movie bosses was alright, but the thing is his linking partner came in the form of this Cooler. When Cooler got his Easy A, like, this is an example of a unit where they actually gave him help, like, right away, and it was fine. This full power Frieza got an Easy A, and then it's like, right after that, it was like, whatever, but, like, you look at the movie bosses team, you could run this guy next to Janemba, the physical LR Janemba, he looked okay. The Metal Cooler in Part 2 kind of made him look, like, decent, and then obviously Harudegarn and this Frieza, they weren't a thing yet. Wheelo wasn't a thing yet. So it's like this Broly was around, this Janemba was around, and it was like, it was okay, right? Like, this Metal Cooler got an Easy A. So it's like, there was an attempt to give this guy help, and that was like for a headliner of a worldwide download celebration. So it's like, they do that, and then that was fine. But like, Broly exacerbates the issue even further, because they give this release out, and then I felt like they barely tried to help him. Because it's like, we got the Broly trio, and then it was like, then what? So that is something that we could look at, but I could go down and go through this list all day, but right now I think that is the biggest problem in the game, where to kind of like close this out, right, and we have this Frieza TUR who's very good, but Boo-Tanks, I guess, let me make this the last point before we close this video out. We get this Boo-Tanks, and it's like, this is where it's like, I feel like with villain units, we would almost have to like alter their link set, because we get this, like, the problem, one of the big problems with Extreme Class 2 is they are very dependent on that Big Bad Boss's link. Now, this Boo does have Big Bad Bosses, but is only in the transformation state. So, if this Boo-Tanks would have had Big Bad Bosses, he would look so much better than he is. And this unit is still good, but, like, again, who are you running this guy with? I didn't mean to do the super attack, but it's like, let's go down the list. Usable in 980 content. No. Sometimes. Obviously, yes. No. No. No, no, no. No, no, no. You get the idea, right? No linking partners. That's the idea. So, no linking partners. So it's like, I feel like Cooler was the only example in this video that we looked at where the boxes felt checked, right? Where their team is primarily extreme, their link set works decent, and then they actually had attempted help at their release. But we look at, I could go through all of these, but I feel like the video would just go too long. But like, we look at somebody like Broly, not all the boxes checked. Zamasu, not all the boxes checked. Super Boo, not all checked. Metal Cooler, kind of. This guy, not all the boxes were kind of checked, but not really. This Zamasu, no. Golden Frieza, he was good in a way where it didn't really matter what the links and teams were. He was just a damage reduction sponge. This Goku and Hit, obviously not. This full power Frieza, yeah, he had some support when he came out, but you guys get the idea, right? Usually these extreme class units just do not have all the boxes checked, and I think right now that is the biggest problem in the game, because it feels like you should never summon for an extreme class unit, especially if you're someone trying to be responsible with your stones. Broly is only an exception because he's basically super class. So let me know down below what you guys think the biggest problem in the game is. Do you guys think that I'm on the money here by saying this is the biggest problem in the game? If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new. If you want to further support me, consider becoming a channel member below, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.